Thank you, thank you. Nice to be here. I had the pleasure of hosting Congressman Grijalva in Alcatraz. We did offer him a round-trip ticket. At that point, he was the chairman of the committee at that point also, so we had a special place in our heart, but we were happy to have him come see us.
They haven't invited me since
I don't think he's been out our way lately. We're still looking for him to come back. So I'm going to talk a little bit about urban parks, which is a little different. And I got a lot of pages here, so just wave the white flag when you're done with me. So Alcatraz normal visitation is about 1.5 million regular visitors a year. And then their audio tours all inclusive, so everybody buys and gets the whole experience. Doesn't include group programs, kids events, and other things beyond that numbers. It's one of the most popular and iconic sites in San Francisco for both visitors and locals alike. Often, visitors buy their time-specific Alcatraz ticket before they make their airline and hotel reservations. Avoid disappointment, buy your Alcatraz ticket first. The opportunities are numerous to share Alcatraz more fully with taxpayer owners and visitors to the United States, and I'm going to talk about some of those. As you know, Alcatraz got quite the international reputation. There's probably been about 20 full-length movies that feature the island in one form or another. As with most parks, Alcatraz has a ton of deferred maintenance, and some of these services that I'm going to now talk about, expanded visitor service opportunities, could help fund that maintenance. So urban parks are a little bit different in that you have no trouble getting people there. They're already there. You just have to get them through the front gate. And the first opportunity for us, the lowest hanging fruit, frankly, is to run more passengers on the same trips. Our boats run about half full. They're constrained by park policy. We have already gone from having a high season, a shoulder season, and a low season to having a high season and a low season. Shoulder became part of high season shortly after we arrived with good support from the Park Service and our Conservancy. We run 10 cruises in the slower part of the year and 15, this is daily, and we could easily run 15 pretty much all year round. It's not a concept that would work in a lot of places because you don't have the demand at all times, but we do. So opening up evening tours, the evening tours are slightly different. They're more docent-led. We only run 600 people a night to Alcatraz 5 nights a week. That's 3,000 people a week. The demand for that is probably more like 20,000 people a week, 7 times as much. All we have to do is turn the switch and they'll all walk through the front gate, and delivering the services is not a complicated or hard deal. Those tours, by the way, are sold out during the summertime, typically 5 to 6 weeks in advance. This is a hard sell, but Christmas and Thanksgiving Day is a great day for visitors. Those are great days to reopen. That's low-hanging fruit. So just to put that in economic benefits, that one thing that we just talked about, the Park Service nets about $8 a passenger. That's after they get the Conservancy audio tour money and the franchise fee and whatever revenue the guests spend, it's about $8 a passenger. So everything that I just talked about there is totally self-funding. In fact, it produces cash flow that could help deferred maintenance. That's existing products. So there's plenty of opportunity for new products. We do garden tours, but we only do them 2 days a week. Big interest there. Of course, the gardens on the island were not natural. They were planted by the residents. And we've replicated some of those shoreside at the landing facility, but people like to see those. It's a big opportunity. Early morning sunset and late evening photography cruises, people love that. So one of the things that people talk about is sometimes the cell block gets crowded because everybody goes through the cell block. A lot of people are interested in that. Well, the cell block is 3 or 4 stories tall, and guess how many stories we're using? 1 story. Everybody goes through the pinch point, and there's no reason for it. The cells on 2, 3 are the same as the cells on 1. So you could do a different type of tour. Not everybody actually wants to spend 45 minutes to an hour on the cell block. Some people are more interested in other things. So by having a couple of different tours instead of 1, you could really enhance the visitor experience. There's over 6 different eras of Alcatraz Island. There's architecture from all those different eras. There is no tour that features the architecture of Alcatraz, whether it's the lighthouse or the catacombs or the previous fortifications. So that'd be a great opportunity. Now here's one that's quite a bit of fun. We have a traveling exhibit that we built to go out in the community and teach people about Alcatraz that maybe didn't have a chance to get there. and this exhibit has traveled around the world, around the United States, not outside the United States. It's recently put at the Hyatt Regency down in the Embarcadero because they have a cultural exhibit there. So there's no food service on Alcatraz Island. You can be out there for 2.5 hours and there's no food service. At the Hyatt, they decided, since our traveling exhibit was there, they were going to change the restaurant menu to serve what you could get at Alcatraz in 1946 in the mess hall. And they serve it the same way. They probably cook it a little bit better. I mean, getting short ribs at the Hyatt are probably a lot better than short ribs were on Alcatraz. But they get huge interest. They've generated several hundred, like $300,000 or $400,000 of food and beverage revenue just on that item. A little bit of press they did on it resulted in about 2 million impressions with 20 or 30 different placements in the media over about a 1-week period. And the people are talking about it. You can see it on the social media. Why can the Hyatt do it and we can't do it at Alcatraz? Clearly, the mess hall is part of the experience. We're not adding a feature. We're actually using one that's already there. So there's a huge opportunity, I think, to do things like that. And the last one I'll just touch on here is, this is a little more broad thinking, but of course Alcatraz has hotel accommodations. For many years, the infrastructure was used for that purpose. 5-star uniqueness, but certainly not 600 thread count. Okay? So, guess what? People would pay to spend the night on Alcatraz. There's a resource that's not being used. It would be a totally unique experience. People would talk about it. And it could generate money to help fund the deferred maintenance. Not a hard concept, not a hard thing to think about. The hardest thing is to try to figure out how to get it through our partners, and whether that's the National Park Service or the Golden Gate Conservancy, either one. So that's Alcatraz, just a few of the low-hanging fruit. Any more, some that we'll tell you about later. The other place that we operate is at the other end of the country, Statue of Liberty National Monument and Ellis Island Immigration Museum. Now, most of you know Hurricane Sandy happened 12 months ago today. And we've been shut down at Ellis that entire period and just reopened today. Statue opened on the 4th of July after about an 8-month shutdown. Now, Statue's normal visitation about 3.5 million visitors a year. I told you Alcatraz was about 1.5, and it could be 2.5 or 3. Statue's 3.5, and it probably could be 5, 5.5, depending on what you did there. We had a summer program for a little period of time, and by the way, Statue, everybody thinks about going up to the crown. The fact of the matter is only 300 people can go up into the crown. 3,000 people a day can go up to the pedestal and into the museum. And we have some days where we'll do 15 to 20,000 people. The evening program we did a couple years was successful, but we were only able to do it a few nights a year. Visitor comments, we loved our visit. It was excellent. My friends and I loved it. Sincere thanks to those who contributed to making the event possible. It was an excellent evening. The cruise was a great idea, a great way to feature our parks and local history. So great comments on the evening program. Extended hours. I use this analogy. Some of you have heard this. If you're at Mount Rushmore in South Dakota, who operates that? You're here, right? What's the latest admission to Mount Rushmore in the summer?
Admission meaning?
You can see it. You can get close to it.
Well, it's open around the clock, actually. The actual memorial is open. Our facility is usually 9 or 10 p.m. in the piece.
9 or 10 p.m. So we're in the middle of 25 million people in New York, and sometimes in the summer, we stop selling tickets to get out there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Because they'll have to stand in line for an hour and a half, and by the time they go out and come back, it'll be 4:30 or 5 o'clock. That's closing time.
Even in the summer, 5 o'clock?
Even in the summer. Even in the
when
summer.
it's light till 9.
Yeah. So clearly, the connection between the times the services are being offered and the times the park is open are not connected in the right way. Reevaluate park capacity. With the new facilities after Sandy, we rebuilt docks and some other facilities there, and there's actually room to increase the carrying capacity on the island, which I don't even think we've been up to in a long time, but that's a possibility. VIP tours, there's a lot of people that call and say, I gotta get out there, I don't care how much it costs, can you please help? Well, as you know, we do not have dynamic pricing, and we have one product fits all. To me, that is very low-hanging fruit, and I don't think that you have to force everybody into that, but if people want to have that experience, It's no different than the people who buy the club floor when they want to stay at the Hyatt, or if they want to stay at the Georgetown Conference Center here. They get all these nice amenities that Bruce has provided. You should offer a range of products and services that the public wants to buy. Great opportunity to cross-promote services too. And we try to do this. Governor's Island is a new facility. We're trying to get people to know more about Governor's Island and get out to Fort William and so forth. And so by selling a combination ticket, there's a great opportunity to do that. Just like with Alcatraz, we can sell the ticket to go to Alcatraz, but include a ticket to the Maritime Museum, which is right down the street. Screening is the biggest question at Statue of Liberty. A lot of big issues about where the screening facility was going to be after Sandy. And Secretary Jewell and Director Jarvis and the New York Police Department, New York's finest, all had a big face-off, and it ended up right where it was to start with, at the Battery in a temporary facility. At least the old facility had been swept away by Sandy, and the new facility will allow greater throughput. But at some point, there is an amazing group of facilities on Ellis Island, and probably it takes longer-term money to develop it, or at least some resolution on what LSI is all about. They have 20 or 30 buildings there, a huge hospital, dormitory and baggage building that has the most amazing views of New York Harbor, all of which would be pay for itself, be eminently usable, and people would love to have it. So plenty of huge opportunity there. It amazes me what a great facility it is. The federal historic preservation tax incentives could work to help fund some of this. And lastly, I think there's plenty of opportunity to work with the Park Service, with our community partners, to get more educational and community outreach about these projects and facilities. So in all this, there's no reason why any of the stuff we just talked about can't be perfectly consistent with the park's mission of protecting historic, cultural, and natural resources. There's not a single thing that I talked about that isn't perfectly consistent with the park's mission. So we and the other concessionaires are ready to work with NPS leadership, headquarters, region, park level to advance some or all these things. The collective stuff that I talked about here, without getting crazy and building hotels and everything else, is somewhere between $15 and $25 million worth of annual net revenue to the Park Service. Net revenue. So it's not hard to think about that as low-hanging fruit. So imagine if we all had these kind of opportunities, putting them all together, how big it would be. So